This show is brought to you in part by viewers like you who joined a Patreon or become YouTube members. Thank you. And if you could, hit the like button and subscribe if you want more Browns-focused content.
Hey, what's up, and welcome to Hot Takes, the show where I take your hot takes from the comment section and answer them here in video format. Let's jump from the first one, who says, World War Z, this season's quarterback room is so much better than last year's. It's not just Watson either. DTR was a bust. Again, fifth-round pick. Fifth-round picks cannot be bust. We got to stop doing that. Fifth-round pick. Added a good running back, good linebacker, defensive line help, healthy DeJuan. There's a reason to be positive about 25, not playoff positive, but 7-10 season with 2 first-round picks. Yeah, I would agree. I think that's the correct amount of optimism. I believe the quarterback room is better than it was last year. I feel much better about it. That's ultimately a feeling, right? It's based on 2 rookies. We'll see what those rookies do if they enhance that feeling as the training camp goes forward. But yeah, I do feel better about the Browns at this point than I did last year. And that's good. That's good. Alien Overlord Snow with this hot take says Sanders fans won't like to hear, but we also learned that Dillon Gabriel is mastering the offense much faster than Shedeur, and that Gabriel was able to succeed in college despite being a small but very smart, faster processor than Sanders. Gabriel's getting first-team reps along with Flacco, Pickett, because he has already learned the playbook and the play calling while Sanders is not. So we know that Gabriel is almost starter ready while Sanders is still a developmental project. There is something to this, right? Because so much of the conversation about Shedeur not getting first-team reps, and again, I would stress, we're in minicamp, y'all. I'm not really worried about first-team reps in minicamp. But so much of the conversation about the Browns not giving Shedeur first-team reps is operating on the assumption that Shedeur is outperforming Dillon Gabriel in every aspect. And maybe in throwing drills he is, but there might be other stuff that he is struggling with that's not as visible to us, but still just as important to succeeding or being trusted to be put out there in an NFL game. And I think that there would be a lot of reason to believe that Dillon Gabriel would be ahead of Shedeur here. Not just because Dillon has the experience playing in multiple different offenses, which he does, but Dillon's just played way more big-time college football than Shedeur Sanders has. He's played in playoff games. He's played in bowl games. Shedeur's only played in the 1 bowl game. He's only had 2 FBS seasons. Dillon has had 5. Dillon is older than Shedeur Sanders, right? Like, all of this stuff would make you think that Dillon is not a developmental pick, while Shedeur is largely a developmental pick. So it doesn't surprise me that they're more gung-ho about getting Dillon on the field than they are about Shedeur. And I don't think that's the worst thing for Shedeur. I think if you're a quarterback in this quarterback room, there is the first quarterback to go out there. But honestly, the last quarterback to go out probably benefits a lot more than the second or third one to be thrown out there. And Dillon's probably going to be thrown out in the fray earlier than later because he has that college experience. And I think really that's what the Browns are leaning on, 5 years of FBS experience versus 2. And that's why Dillon kind of gets the benefit of the doubt here when it comes to those 2. Amongst the coaching staff at the very least, right? I know people will be upset about it, but this thought that like Dillon Gabriel is going to be an easy hurdle to clear, I think that should be contested a little bit more than it is. Tracy says, my predictions are the Browns will be much better than expected. Moving away from coaches Dorsey and Dickerson is huge, and getting past Watson, another massive plus. I see a good running game with Judkins, Ford, and Sampson. Fannin should really help our passing game, especially in 2 tight end sets. Our defense is definitely our strength. Adding Graham and Schlesinger is only going to make us better. Veteran safeties they brought in are an improvement. If they get solid QB play and much improvement from our special teams, and Hopkins gets his act right together. ... Yes, there is a pathway for this Browns team to be successful. I don't think anybody is denying that. I don't think this team is awful like some people make it out to be. I think the Browns are still a pretty solid roster. The issue with them being like a playoff team is just look at how many of these things that we're hoping are improvements we really don't know yet. We feel much better about them than we did about the last guy, but that's because we saw the last guy fell in front of our face, right? Moving away from Dorsey and Dickerson, I think that is big, right? You get away from your offensive line coach that apparently failed, and your offensive coordinator, you replace him with Tommy Rees and a new offensive line coach. We think that's going to be better. We don't know, but we think it's going to be better, but we're hoping that's the case. The quarterbacks being better, that again, we feel good about it right now, but we don't know. The run game being improved, we feel good about it right now. We don't know. The second tight end spot being better, we feel good about it. We don't know. I think all the defensive stuff we do feel pretty good about, and we do know that the defense is pretty good. And in special teams, right? If that is better, we hope it is, but we don't know, right? This is why I could be 7 to 9 wins excited about the Browns, but not 10 win excited about the Browns. Because ultimately, I need to know what that run game is going to look like. Ultimately, I need to know what the kicker is going to be able to produce on a consistent basis. I need to know what the offensive coordinator and the offensive line coach can be trusted. And right now, we don't know. We feel better. We feel much better, but we don't know, right? And I think that's the big issue with where the Browns are, is that, we just are kind of not going to know how much they've improved these things with what they've thrown at it until we really see it in an NFL game for a few weeks. Next hot take says, here's my personal oddball prediction. It's from my oddball predictions video. Joe Flacco starts the first 8 weeks, gets 3-3, benched in week 8. So he plays first 8 weeks. There's a bye week in there. Okay, so that's how he gets to 3-3. Dillon plays the last half of week 8 and the 4 games after the bye. That's believable. Sanders gets the last month. Sanders looks decent, and all the local media will complain about the team, will complain and kill the team for trying to act as if Sanders is like the 20th best quarterback in the league and he should have been starting from the start. Yes, absolutely. With that first paragraph, Cleveland media will absolutely eat its own tail if Shador's like decent, right? Like they will absolutely do this thing where they get mad at the team for being competent, because it wouldn't be incompetent for the Browns to throw out Sanders early. And look, he could look good in week 13 or by the end of the season, but if he looks good at that point, how do we not know that him sitting out was a huge part of that, right? Yeah, some Browns media folk will absolutely do the meme there. I agree with you. Judkins will be a 1,200-yard rusher who keeps the team afloat. People will complain about his carry count. They will always complain about the running back's carry count, even if the running back leads the league in carries. Miles will get 16 sacks, and you'll have people complaining he isn't doing more. People will always complain about Myles Garrett, even if he is the defensive player of the year, simply because some people don't know what the hell he's talking about. 6 QBs will be slated to go in the first, and the Browns are going to get one of them, and people will be complaining when they take one because they love Sanders and want to push him as the franchise guy no matter what. Oh, that's going to be a hilarious thing to cover when if the Browns take a quarterback next year and like Shador is in a weird place where he's kind of like what you want, but hasn't really proved it yet. There'll be a lot of frustration and the only here for Shador base. I would agree with you on that. All right. Last one comes from John Gerard, who says this, and this is in reference to Shador's speeding incidents. He said, this is the second speeding ticket in 2 weeks. The first was 91 in a 60 at 5:13 p.m. So rush hour. He also had a failure to show for his first ticket. Huge immaturity issues starting to show. I can understand getting 1, but 2 back-to-back is a huge red flag of immaturity, in my opinion. I want to be careful with how I talk about this because I'm not really happy with how much people just kind of like hand wave off excessive speeding and act like it's not dangerous, right? I've saw so many comments, and to be fair, most of the comments that got traction were people agreeing with me that this is a dangerous thing and people sharing their experiences from working in ER or working on construction and just how dangerous this driving is. But there were so many people who were like, hey, people got to understand in these new cars, it's easy to get to 100 miles per hour. And I don't deny that that's true, but what does that matter? Like, if it's easy to get to 100 miles per hour or you can get to 100 miles per hour without knowing it, if you're in a car that's capable of going that fast, that quickly, then the responsibility is on you, the driver, to pay attention to this little invention they created long time ago called a speedometer that tells you exactly how fast you're going. So, you know, I don't buy any of these excuses that like people are throwing out there. Yeah, it might be easy to get to 91, but if you got a car that can get that fast that quickly, and apparently he was in a big ass pickup truck, right? Which, you know, it might be like a Raptor or something like that, where he got like, you know, I don't know what the terminology is, but he got like a big ass engine in there that can rev that thing up 0 to 60 in a second, or maybe it's electric, right? Still, the responsibility is even more so on the driver to make sure that that car isn't going excessively over the speed limit. If he got clocked for going 70 and a 60, I wouldn't even cover it. It'd be pointless. I don't care about that, right? Even like 75. If he was doing 80 and a 60, I'd be like, hey, that's a little crazy, but everybody in the comment section has done 80 and a 60 before and then decide, oh, let me chill out, right? Like, that's not crazy, but 91 speeds excessing of 100 miles per hour on public roads is immature. Now, I don't know if like you make a whole indictment about him, because it's not just him doing it. The reason it pisses me off is because people are just hand waving away speeding when there have been so many examples over the years of reckless driving resulting in like people's lives being ruined. Athletes and people who are just minding their own damn business that get ran into by these cars. And you know, you could try to tell me a car can get to 100 miles per hour, you can get the control on it, and it can be pretty easy, and you can get to 0 to 100 pretty fast, and all of this stuff, and that it's not that dangerous. But at the end of the day, a car going 100 miles per hour is much more dangerous if there is a incident, if it crashes into anything, than a car going 60 miles per hour. It's just way more dangerous. And another thing I don't think people understand about why speeding is dangerous, even if there's nobody out there, is these highways don't have curves or aren't designed arbitrarily. They're designed and graded for certain speeds. So the reason this stretch of highway is a 60 mile per hour road, even though you think you should be able to do more on it, is because it was designed to handle that speed. That is what the grade of the curves in that highway are designed to handle safely. So if you're accessing the speed limit, even if there's nobody out there, you're still putting yourself in danger. Which brings me to the last part, right? Okay, let's say you don't care about the potential harm you could do to the other people who are just trying to get to point A to B on the road. Let's say you don't care about the harm you could do about the people in your car that are just trying to go with you to the store, wherever the hell you was driving, right? Let's say you don't care about none of that, right? You just thinking completely selfishly. What about the harm that could be done to you? The quarterback position is not a position where we can play around with. If Shedeur Sanders wants to be a franchise quarterback, and look, this is something that I have no doubt in my mind, Deion Sanders is explaining to his son right now. Right? So for everybody who gets mad at me, who's in this Shedeur camp, Shedeur can't do nothing wrong, understand that Deion is telling his kid not to listen to you. Because y'all are wrong on this, right? Because imagine about what could happen to Shedeur's career. Let's say Shedeur is driving 100 miles per hour. He hits a pothole, he slides off the road, and thank God he doesn't hurt himself. Well, he doesn't hurt anybody else, but he does hurt his shoulder, his throwing shoulder, and he's out for 2 months. He's a 5th-round pick. If he's out for 2 months as a 5th-round pick, there's no guarantee he's going to get an opportunity next year. Browns could take a quarterback in the top 3 next year, forget they got Shedeur, and just cut him. And that's it for Shedeur. You know, he's got a bad wing, he's a quarterback, and now people think he's irresponsible because he hurt himself driving. That is the harm that could be done. If you're the Browns, and let's say Shador is your franchise quarterback, and you're getting ready to win a Super Bowl, you spent all this damn money on the roster to win a Super Bowl, and then during the off period, right, in June, Shador Sanders drives his car recklessly off the road, injures himself, and he's out for the year. Do you want to put your money behind that guy? Do you want to depend on that guy? Myles Garrett can't even play basketball during the offseason. And, obviously, they have limited his driving because of the incidents that Myles Garrett got into, and he's not the quarterback of this team. You're putting everything at risk. He's supposed to think of himself as a franchise quarterback. What if he hits a pothole, slides off the road, ends his season right there because he wanted to go fast? What do you do with that? Do you invest millions of dollars into that guy being your quarterback if he don't even take care of himself? So, no, I don't think that we need to finger wag Shador and act like he did something on the level of Deshaun Watson or Ben Roethlisberger, but please stop acting like he didn't do anything bad. I saw so many comments saying, well, he's not Deshaun. He's not Ben Roethlisberger. Okay, yeah, that's true. He's not Deshaun. He's not one of the most despicable. He's not charged with some of the most despicable crimes that you could be charged of publicly. But what he did was stupid. It was immature, and it's not something you ever want your quarterback doing. That's true. And if you want Shador to be a franchise quarterback, you should be encouraging him to stop that shit. Not glazing him about it. That's the thing that drives me nuts. Why are you encouraging what we all know to be bad behavior? That's what's insane about it to me. And then I get on here and I say, hey, that's bad behavior. And people go, well, he's not Deshaun Watson. What? It just blew my mind. The level of stupidity. You would never tell your kid this shit if they got caught speeding. If I had a son, and my son was speeding like this, I'd be on his neck about this. I'm not about to lose my child because you being stupid on the road. Are you serious? Would you let your child do this? Why are you excusing it because it's Shador and you want to be on the Shador train? That's so stupid. Have some backbone. Just say what it is. The dude did something stupid, is immature, and you don't want a quarterback doing it. That doesn't mean you have to banish Shador entirely. That doesn't mean that you want Shador fired from the Cleveland Browns. That doesn't mean that you want Shador suspended by the league. It just means you want him to not feel good about what he did. Because he shouldn't feel good about what he did. He should feel like a fucking idiot. He should feel stupid. He should feel selfish. He should feel immature for doing what he did because it's immature, stupid, and reckless to do what he did. That's it. Whatever. Why are people fighting this? I don't understand it. You know what I mean? If I got caught going 100, my dad be on my phone for the next 2 weeks calling me an idiot, making sure I understand to not be stupid because my dad loves me. Okay? That's what I would expect. And you know what? If I ever said he does something stupid like that, I'd be on the phone calling him stupid for 2 weeks. I'm not being mean, but you know what I mean. Letting him know he can't do that shit no more. And then we out here excuse, do y'all just excuse when your babies do this shit? That's crazy to me. Your son get arrested for going over 100 on the highway. You just sitting here boys will be boys. Are you crazy? Are you crazy? That's insane to me. Again, we don't got to act like the brother need to be in jail or anything like that or write a whole notes app about it. But let's just acknowledge that it was immature. I don't see what the problem is with that. Because we would all in our regular lives realize this was immature if we weren't talking about somebody whose hive we're trying to be in. I think people are just so caught up in making sure that the Sanders fans like them that they're just excusing things that come on, man, that's stupid. Call them out for it. That's dumb. That's real dumb. And I don't think you're helping Shador by acting like it's not dumb. Right? And if there are people in Shador's life that are telling him, don't listen to the haters, keep speeding, those people are going to ruin that young man's career. Like, this is dumb. Stop speeding. You got everything going your way right now. Let's not risk it by going faster than you ever need to go in a car. You want to go 100 miles per hour? You're rich. Take a fucking private jet. Go 100 miles per hour. Go over 100 miles per hour. You go 500 miles per hour in the private jet. If you really need to get somewhere, yeah, you got Deion Sanders money. You can helicopter where you want, as long as the conditions are clear. But why you need to go 91? Why you need to go at 5 o'clock? Like, come on, man. Come on. He's lucky he's only getting tickets, by the way. If any of us did this in our real lives, we'd be in jail. Like, why are we, the amount of people just willing to downplay this and act like it's not an immaturity thing is crazy to me. And I've seen too much stuff like this pop up during June. And then I make the mistake of going, well, people are overreacting. It's not that big of a deal. And then we get to July and it's a big deal because Perion Winfrey went from falling off scooters to holding people hostage by gunpoint. Like, I've lived through enough to be like, all right, man, you see this kind of silly stuff, you got to nip that shit in the bud. It's not cute. And all Perion was doing was falling off a scooter at first. Like, this is much more dangerous than that. So, yeah, I don't want to see a bigger story pop up out of this. I don't want to have to cover a bigger story than this. I don't want to have to hear about this being another Henry Ruggs situation or, God forbid, worse than that. So I'm going to be more harsh on this. And I think more people in the media should be more harsh on this. Wow, there's a way to do it without also being like, he needs to be fired, right? Like, we just get so caught up in a lack of nuance today that we don't know how to talk about anything. But my rant is over. Y'all have a great rest of y'all day. Peace.